Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about our ComicsPro experience, which is the comics retailer or association.
Yep.
Sorry, professional association. So
We're professionals.
we are. I'm Phillip,
I'm Tommy.
and welcome to RCX Unfiltered. So anywho, it was a long week, people.
It was. I am still exhausted.
It was a very long week in Pittsburgh.
Yesterday, I didn't leave the house or put on pants, and I'm still tired.
Yeah, it was. We left on early Wednesday morning. We got to Pittsburgh around
like
4-ish.
4:30 somewhere.
Yeah,
in
something like that.
After we did some circles.
Yeah, that's a whole different conversation with me driving. And then basically ComicsPro was Thursday night with just some meetups and stuff, but then it was all day Friday. No, that was Wednesday night. Sorry,
Yeah, that was
Wednesday night, and then all day Thursday, all day Friday, and then Saturday we finally got to leave around 1:30.
No, I don't think we left till like 2.
2.
We hung out for a little bit. Yeah. It was
Oh
like
yeah,
2
the
o'clock.
last thing that we had the board meeting.
We stayed a little bit later than we intended, so that we could listen in to the members only board meeting, which was good. It was a lot of. I mean, the whole week was a lot of building each other up and trying to like make the industry better. So that last meeting, where no matter how tired everybody was, and let me tell you, as someone who slept underneath the party room, everyone was tired Saturday morning.
Yeah, basically everything was set up like Thursday, Friday were set up for like 12-hour days. Like you really were downstairs at 8, and then everything kind of wrapped up at 8 until it didn't wrap up. And then you had these other meetings and get-togethers that went to midnight on Friday night. And if anyone knows me, that's way past my bedtime.
Yeah, we ended up. Yeah, Friday night was the charity auction for Bink. Which I hadn't even really planned to go to the charity auction, but Phillip was going, so I was like, you know what, I'll tag along. And it was supposed to go from like 9 to 12. Well, it started at 9:30.
It was supposed to go 9 to 11.
Oh, 9 to 11. Sorry, yeah, 9 to 11. And it really kicked off around 9:30, and at midnight, we had to leave the room. And so the rest of the auction items were a silent auction the next day.
Yeah.
So when we got up to the room at like 12:15, 12:20, it was sleepy time.
And then the party kept going for
some people that we know were like, hey, we're gonna go up to the 18th floor and we're gonna hang out, and like there's some drinks up there and blah blah blah. And so we get back to the room and Phil was like, so you going up to 18? I was like, God no, I'm too old for that. So,
but yet we went anyway because it happened to be right above our room.
Yeah, apparently they were right above us. We were on the 17th floor. They were right above us, and they had a great time.
They did have a good time.
Yeah.
I think they finally wrapped up about 5 a.m.
Yep.
is the last one I heard. Either people like went their way, or I'm not really
or they
sure.
just passed out where they were. We're not sure.
Yeah.
I can tell you that the guy whose room this happened in was there at like 9 a.m. Like, I was impressed.
Yeah, it didn't faze him at all.
Yeah, he
like,
was
obviously
good.
he's completely fine.
Yep.
So
Yep.
But anyway, we spent these days talking to the retailers across the country, which some of them couldn't make it because they got snowed in. While it was 83 here in Richmond,
and it was like
73
yeah.
in Pittsburgh, we had a lot of people coming from out west or Midwest, and they couldn't make it in because of the snowstorm. But we spent a lot of time talking to a lot of retailers. Basically all of our distributors were there. Actually, all of our comic distributors were there. How about that?
Yep.
They were all there. Most of the publishers were there, or the big main publishers were there. So we spent a lot of time talking to them, trying to figure out the industry itself, trying to make the industry better. I talked way too much for 4 days.
One of my favorite things was that, like, so Friday, Saturday, we do round tables where we go to a table with a publisher or distributor or a creator or whatever, and we have 8 minutes, and they
speed dating.
It's basically speed dating, and they pitch a thing to us, and they're like, "What do you have to say?" And after about the second table, we were with two other guys from other stores. And after about the second table, when they were like, "What do you have to say?" They were like, "Phillip, go." And just, and it was, honestly, it was a great time. The two guys we were with those 2 days were fantastic. Their stores are very different from ours, but they deal with basically the exact same problems that we do, and they have the same concerns.
And we complimented each other well at those round tables, because if they had a bigger issue that here we may not have that big an issue of it, it's still an issue for us. So it was, depending on what was going, it would just be who would go. But they did let me have my soapbox a lot. So
it was good, and
I appreciated that.
Are you going to go through your whole spiel now, or
I can?
You going to save it?
So no, I'll go into it. That's kind of what this is.
Okay.
So basically, you know, one of the things that, or you don't know, which is why I'm here. So my big soapbox topic now is about this industry is how we are marketed, right? So we are very well not marketed in this industry, because all the publishers are leaving it to the 3,000 comic shops across this country to market their books. And that's just how the industry was built, right?
Yeah, we've both been doing this since the 90s. Yeah. That's the way it's always been.
Yeah, it's always been that way. But now with social media, a lot of these creators who, either the writers or the artists, they don't promote their books. And so I'm trying now to get these publishers to work with these creators to say, hey, I've got a book coming out. I've got a book coming out in a month. Here's how initial orders work. Here's how FOC works. And like start teaching, because we learned most of these publishers don't have this conversation with the creators, and they don't know how the ordering process works. So they get paid by a page rate, whether they're a writer or an artist. And once they get paid by a page rate, they're done, right? So then it goes to a Marvel or a DC or IDW. Pick somebody. I'm not picking on anyone, but that's how it goes. And we know that some people do it way better than others. Like Tom Taylor.
Tom Taylor's fantastic.
You know, he's a prime example of here's a creator who's always pushing his books, but you don't always see it, right? And so we get 200 to 300 individual titles now, not counting variants, just individual titles a week. We can't read all those books a week and promote it that week, right? So like we don't get ARCs or advanced reader copies all the time. We don't always get PDFs. Like they try to get them to us, but it's always like Marvel gets us some. I think
I will say the most advanced PDFs I get are from small independent publishers whose books it's really hard for us to carry. We don't do that well with independent books. Now, if I read something that I think is especially good, then yeah, I'm going to promote that. Right. But if you've got a book coming out and it's on FOC this week, like FOCs are due Sundays at noon for us. Right. So like, if you know as a publisher that you've got a book coming out and the orders are due on Sunday or Monday, then why aren't you promoting that book through your creators on Tuesday, Wednesday before that?
Right. Like it doesn't do us any good for like, and granted, like some of you may be watching this and sitting there going, well, I've seen this creator do that. It doesn't do any good if the creator's promoting their book on a Tuesday and it comes out on Wednesday, right? Like it can't get you fired up. And then you're like, well, you go to a comic shop and you know, they didn't have that many. Well, we didn't really have, if you don't have any pre-orders on a book, we're not really going to go all in on that book, right? And so it's a change in the industry that I'm trying to promote, and I seem to have gotten a lot of people
there were
tagging along with me after this weekend.
A lot of publishers who clearly this is the first time they've ever heard that. Either that or they're very good actors and they wrote down stuff. And you know, that's okay too, but they wrote it down. It really seems like this is an idea that no one's really thought about. Right. Which, you know, is surprising to us because we collectively do not think that we are ever the smartest people in the room or even close to the top.
Never.
So for us to have an idea that we think, okay, this seems like common sense. This seems reasonable. And for the entire industry to go like, we've never thought of that. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not sure how to feel about that.
Yeah, we had a lot of publishers write stuff down and distributors. We had,
Yeah.
you know,
Yep.
And they were, it just seemed really odd that, but like we just can't promote everyone's book. It's just not possible. And especially, you know, like if you watch our live show, we do it and we talk about books that come out like, hey, tomorrow. But by that time, if we sell out that day, you can't really get it.
Yeah, most of the time, once things are gone, they're gone.
Yeah.
We can't reorder them.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like these publishers are really printing the order, and then once they print the order, they're only sending them to the shops in that order. So if people aren't basically promoting their books, like when it hits a previews or it hits the DC Connect or PRH's book, like if it doesn't hit, then you have to do it FOC. But once FOC is passed, like you promoting like the Tuesday before, or DC's case, the Monday before, it doesn't really help this industry. So we've got to get these creators to basically publish more. And, you know, as I was going through this spiel, Tommy basically had the best analogy for all this, which is when a studio makes a movie, the movie theaters aren't the one that's promoting the movie. It's the production companies, it's the actors, the actresses. They're out there hitting the streets promoting it. So that's what we need for this industry. So that's kind of where my big soapbox all weekend was. But
and I had this conversation with my girlfriend Phoebe yesterday, and she is a writer. I am. Because she brought up a good point. A lot of times when people are writers or artists, they're very introverted, and they're not good at getting out there on social media and really promoting themselves and their work. And that's what publishers are really for. Like if you bring your work to a publisher and they're like, we believe in you, we think you're talented enough that we want to publish your thing.
Right.
And then they look at us as the promotional arm.
Right.
But really, like, and while we were talking, I was like, well, if a publisher gave you a piece of art with a date on it and told you on these dates, go to Twitter, go to Facebook, go to Instagram, and push this piece of art out there that has the pre-order date, would that be okay? And she was like, yeah, that seems reasonable. That's not a thing where I have to put in like an excessive amount of one-on-one, like, and I get it. A lot of the artists that I know, a lot of the writers that I know, they are introverted. They don't want to be out there in the public and doing things. But if your publisher just gets you a piece of promotional art that's like pre-order date is this, and they are like, push this out there as much as you can the week of the pre-order, like that seems like a no-brainer. You've already got art. All you got to do is slap a date on it. It's not hard.
But your creators, like at the end of the day, especially, and I'll talk mainly comics here, right? At the end of the day, their followers on social media is way higher than any comic shop, right?
Yeah.
Like you can, like I know there's some really big comic shops in this country, and I'm sure they have a ton of followers. But overall, the followers for an artist or creator that does these books are way higher, and more people's going to see it. And see it maybe even outside of this realm than what we're getting to. Like we just have a small piece, right? Like we have great shops in this town that we live in here in Richmond and the surrounding areas. But at the same time, like even all of us out there, all of the shops here, like promoting like a handful of books every week, it's just not hitting the numbers that, and like I said, I'm not picking on this fellow. Tom Taylor is phenomenal at this, and go look at his followers, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's what made Nightwing so successful. Like we could talk about how great Nightwing is all day long, but we have people coming in here sitting there going, well, I saw Tom Taylor or I saw this, and they want to pick up Nightwing. Like we can say it, but like Tom Taylor is basically beating people over the head, like go read my book, you know? And
it works.
And it works. Like, you know, I wish we had 1 million followers here. So keep following. Please.
So,
keep following.
One of the things that we talked to Brian Haberlin yesterday, day before yesterday. And he is not only an artist and a writer, he is a publisher. So he has a better understanding of how pre-orders and things like that work. Right. And I almost wonder if every single artist and writer would like spend a day with the publishers and see what goes into promoting and getting a book out,
Right.
and seeing about like when the orders come in, if that would be helpful. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't
But
know.
like I said, like the publishers we talked to, even they were saying that they're pretty sure that most of the creators don't know how the ordering process works.
Yeah, and
I'm like,
and part of that, like I'm going to bring it up. We were at the table yesterday with the folks, or Saturday with the folks from IDW, and we were talking about the second issue of the new Last Ronin miniseries, and they were like, it's going to be on time, and we were like, but is it though? It's already been pushed back 3 weeks, and the colorist for Last Ronin last week on social media was on Tuesday was like, hey, the new issue of Last Ronin is out tomorrow, but it's been pushed back, and he had no idea.
He had no idea.
No idea.
Right.
So,
and once again, and I'm not blaming him on that. It's like,
right.
But like, so he doesn't know what the publisher is doing. So obviously the publisher is the one that pushed it back. And once again, not blaming the publisher.
Right.
Not like we don't know where
the state of the world right now.
Yeah,
things get pushed back all the time
but
for a myriad of reasons.
Right.
And I think that there's it 100% feels like communication issues.
Right.
Between everyone.
Yes.
And that seems to be, and I don't think that's unique to our industry.
No,
I think that is pretty universal. Like if everyone would communicate better, the world would be much easier, much smoother to navigate. So
yeah, and don't get any of this wrong. Like this is not us complaining, not me complaining. I'm just wanting people to know what we've been going through, because the overall week was great, right? Mm-hmm. Like all the publishers, all the creators that was there, all the vendors, all the retailers, is great, right? Like like regardless of what people like for you to believe online, we don't hate each other. That is the farthest thing for the truth. The only thing that we're trying to do is figure out how to raise this industry up. And so we all work toward that. And every retailer in that room had each other's back, and we all support each other, and we talk to each other all the time. It is not one thing for you means nothing for me. And that's just not how it works, because everyone in that room would tell you there's 3,000 comic shops. There's not two alike.
That is true. We were at a table with two other comic shops, and the other two shops were in Pennsylvania. One was local to Pittsburgh, and the other was right outside of Hershey, right? I believe.
Yeah, it was closer to Philly, I think.
And our three shops were vastly different from one another, but we all got together and we talked about the problems that we have. And even though our shops are very different with our clientele and the types of books that we sell, our problems are universal. We have the same issues, and every shop that we talk to, we all have basically the same issues.
Right. So
the thing, I'm going to throw this out there. If you have a comic shop and you haven't joined ComicsPro, you are missing out. Everyone is trying to work together for the overall good of the industry. Everyone wants us to succeed and to do better. And I would say, I'm gonna quote Brian Hibbs on this.
Hibbs.
Yep, I'm gonna quote Brian Hibbs. It's the best 72 hours that a person that runs a comic shop can spend every year.
Nothing upsets me more than when I agree with Hibbs.
Yeah, we were having a conversation, I think Thursday night, with CB Cebulski from Marvel, and we're talking to him, and he's genuinely interested in what we're saying, and we're having a good conversation. And Brian Hibbs jumps in and just agrees with us, and we're just like, I don't know how to feel about this.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. We love Hibbs.
We do. We like Hibbs a lot.
We give Hibbs a hard time, but we love Hibbs.
We do. Yeah,
he is one of the biggest advocates for this industry.
He is,
and he is great. He owns a great store out in San Francisco.
He successfully sued Marvel some number of years ago to try to make the industry better.
Well, that's how we got FOC.
Yeah,
we got FOC because of Hibbs. So Hibbs is wonderful.
We like to kind of bust on him a little bit, just because he's kind of upper echelon of comic retailers. Right. So it's fun to make fun of him.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, it turned out great. And like Tommy said, the ComicsPro board and everything, we probably have, to talk about them, we probably have the best president of any retailer.
Jen is amazing.
Association. Jen Haines, she owns the Dragon up in
Gulf?
in Canada. I'm
It's
just going
like
to say Canada.
Gulf? I'm
Yeah,
not sure how it's pronounced,
yeah.
but she's in Canada.
But she's been amazing for everything that we've done in this industry. Like a lot of strides that we've made during even the pandemic is really all because of everything that she's done and the board. It's been pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, I would say every positive thing that's happened in the last 5 years in comics, from our perspective on our end, is because of ComicsPro.
Yeah. So, but like I said, we did, you know, a lot of things that we hear from people, we hear from us. We really let our not our retailers, but we let, you know, the vendors know, which it wasn't just like publishers and distributors. There were other kind of vendors there too that kind of work in this industry that help us, like BCW and things like that. That was there because they want to hear what we have, you know, have going on, what we can do, what they can do to help us. And so there was a lot of that. We've got a new DC distributor coming in 2024. They're currently in Canada. They'll be coming in the U.S. then. Universal.
Yeah, Universal. Man, let me tell you, the people we talked to from Universal were overwhelmingly positive. They said a lot of good things. I am very excited to work with them in the future.
Yeah, they got a lot of good things coming. I mean, for us, right? For the industry. Evidently, they do a lot for the industry in Canada. We expect the same thing here in the U.S. We had conversations with Lunar, which is DC's current distributor. Those ended up being really good conversations with them. They were listening to us, and so they had questions. Like I said, the Marvel didn't really have a panel, but we did get a hold of.
Yeah, we talked to CB for a while on Thursday, so that was good. And I'll say we had a really good talk with the guys from Bad Idea.
We did.
I can't say that we will ever be a Bad Idea store, but like we get where they're coming from. We understand why they're doing what they're doing. They just may not be the best fit for us, but like they're a bunch of good dudes who love comics. Like,
but I also got to tell them where I was coming from.
Yeah,
so
and
that was a lot of fun.
And they listened,
and
they really seemed to care about what we were saying. And I don't know that will change anything. But I will say that like having a conversation with those guys made me feel better about them as a company.
Right. So, yep, that was really good. We got to talk with the Cartoonist Kayfabe. They were there. So Ed and Jim.
I'll say Ed is he's like God. He's like Michael Richardson. I think that's his name. I don't know. Anyway, he is too cool for us. He is, and like him and Jim have this great dynamic where it's this like guy who is like too cool to really talk to the rest of us, and his friends like, it's cool, man. I can talk to them for you. And then he's like, actually, no, I'm gonna jump in and I'm gonna say my thing. I don't know, man. Their dynamic is awesome, and I really like. I went last night and watched on their YouTube channel. Yeah. They did the keynote address.
Yeah, they did.
And they recorded their keynote address in their little studio before they gave it. And like it's a little bit different on their YouTube channel, but it's basically that's the gist. Those guys just love comics.
Those guys are great. Those guys do a lot to promote, you know, stores and comics and stuff. So if you don't follow Cartoonist Kayfabe, you really should go follow them. And they talk about, they're way more specific in their topics where we just go off the rails on our live stuff. Yeah. But they are phenomenal and a very positive force in this industry, which is one of the things we need, right? Like that was the other goal of this. Like I had my soapbox, but at the same time, I wanted all to be positive because it's all about change. It's all about positive change, and it's all about what they can do to help us. And that's what we need, right? Like we got to help each other, and then that's what they can do to help us. We also had good conversations with Scholastic. They were there, and they took a lot of notes on stuff. Once again, I said some things, and they seemed shocked and like quickly wrote things down, and I'm like, I couldn't understand that, but that's neither here nor there. And the PRH crew,
those guys are awesome.
They are the best. Like Penguin Random House, the crew that they give us to work with to do comics and everything. Our main contact has been there, and he was phenomenal. We had good meetings with him, good talks with him. But that whole, they are just great. And I guess the people that we really fell in love with over the weekend
Mad Cave
was Mad Cave.
God, Chris and Chris over at
and
Mad
Chris,
Cave. Yeah,
both of them are phenomenal human beings. They care so much for this industry. They care so much for what we're doing, and they really, really just want to help everything out. And it was really good to hear from them. Chris, he's the West Coast guy.
Yeah.
And the other Chris, she is for East Coast, so we mostly deal with her. But we hung out with the West Coast guy.
Yeah, we met. Is it Christina?
Christina.
Okay. We met Chris at Baltimore at there was a Diamond Summit at Baltimore Comic-Con, and we met Chris there, and we talked to him a bunch, and like he was super nice, and we were like cool. And then when we ran into him at ComicsPro, it was like, oh yeah. And then we ended up like just hanging out with him a lot over the week, and it was a good time. We had a lot of good conversations about comics, and anyway, Mad Cave is a publisher that seems to really get it, and they want to support us, so I want to support them. So you might be seeing more Mad Cave books in the store in the future.
And the other thing that's really interesting is having once again, hanging out with Chris a lot. He talked to us a lot about how we did things and how we didn't do things, and went through that. But it wasn't just interested in us, right? Like, anyone who knows anything about us, our favorite publisher is probably Boom, right? We're staying on the Mad Cave thing. But, but things that Boom do, they really, whether it works or not, they're always trying to help us, right? Mm-hmm. And so going back to Chris with Mad Cave, like he's sitting there like learning from like Boom and wanting to make sure that he understands what and how these other publishers are doing things. And so that's really good for us because, like, hey, once again, these publishers are in competition, but they want to learn from each other too, right? Because it helps the industry.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it does. And a wild thing that we noticed is like we'd go to a table at a publisher and it was like, hey, weren't you with this other publisher last time we were here? And that happened a bunch of times. Yep. And two of those instances with Skybound and with Humanoids, the people in charge of those tables and in charge of those pitches used to be at Boom.
Right.
And
which are great. Both of those are great people. They are
they're
wonderful,
amazing.
Wonderful people.
Amazing.
So it was great to see them at Skybound and Humanoids.
Yeah.
And so that was really good.
So what we took from that was Boom has, in our opinion, been and I'll steal some of Phillip Sablick's words, our best partner in the direct market. And people who learned that at Boom have now spread out into other parts of the industry. And what I'm seeing is that those other parts of the industry are trying to incorporate some of those practices into helping us more.
Yep.
And the more that they are willing to help us, the more that we are willing to push them. And that, for whatever it's worth, I feel like has been a pretty symbiotic relationship, especially with Boom, where they put out an amazing book and they guarantee it and they promote it like crazy. Right. And that makes us want to promote it. It makes us want to read it and get excited about it.
And Phillip at Boom is probably the single best speaker I've ever heard.
He really is.
Like once he gets through speaking, you're basically fired up to just want to go out and do whatever you can in this industry. It is pretty phenomenal in that sense of what he's doing and what that whole organization is doing on that front. So we're really excited about that and how they're still doing things. And they've got some interesting books that are coming back.
Yeah. They made a couple books ongoing. They've got some new story arcs from some older series. Like Coda is coming back.
Coda's coming back, yeah.
So that's exciting. Yeah. So anyway, I'm sure you'll hear a lot more about Boom from us in the future on our Tuesday night shows.
What? No.
Boom. I mean, it's no big secret. Boom's been my favorite publisher for years now. Not just because of what they do for us as a publisher, but because of the quality of the books that they put out.
Right.
Like my favorite book of the last 5 years was Once and Future. Like it was beginning to end phenomenal. So I am expecting more books of that caliber from Boom in the future.
Yep. And then we had a really good talk with the Oni group.
Oh yeah.
So so one of their new guys they just hired from Third Eye, who was like one of their big.
He was like general manager, I think,
general
of the
manager
Annapolis
of
store.
yeah.
Like I'd met him a couple times over the years at
Yep.
various things, but we didn't really know each other.
Yep.
But
Oni's basically his clean house, and they have 3 people there now who are really good for this industry, like really good. And I am awful with names, so I am not going to sit there and say someone's name that I shouldn't be. But like the president of Oni, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think he's in Charlottesville.
Okay.
So yeah, probably I'll tell you about it. Anyway, so he's in Charlottesville. The lady we talked to, which is more on the young adult side of things for Oni, which is sheets and all that. I think she's in Missouri. We had really good conversations with her on that front. And so those they get it. They know there's been some issues in the past. They're working to change all of that. And like overall, like I've always loved Oni. Like
Same.
Oni's been around forever.
Yep.
And I love that company. And so I'm glad. And they put out great books.
Yeah.
Right?
Plug for Free Comic Book Day. Jared, who did Chef's Kiss, will be here for Comic Book Day.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Jared from Chef's Kiss, Oni book, will be here for Free Comic Book Day. So come join that. So yeah, you know, we like, so it was really good. One of the things that I guess was interesting is we carry a lot of manga here. So if you haven't been to our manga section, it's huge. And so we sat down with Kodansha and talked to them for a while. And once again, it's just another great group of people. And just so you know, everyone fell in love with Kodansha because they sponsored all the alcohol at the
yeah, Wednesday night they had,
it was at the
was it the
they were doing the auction.
The auction. Okay.
Kodansha.
There was an open bar basically every night we were there. Somebody sponsored an open bar, and Kodansha sponsored the one where there was actual liquor, not just beer.
Right. Yeah. So everyone fell in love with Kodansha. Yeah. But anyway, it was good talking to them. And so basically, one of their VPs asked, "Hey, can we get pictures of your manga section and what you're doing and how it's laid out?" Because we would tell people about it, and you know, they're really interested in seeing what we got and what we're doing and how it's handled and where they could help, right? Not necessarily, you know, they're not always trying to sell you something. It's sometimes they're just wanting to see how you have things laid out and maybe how they can help do things like that to help better sales stuff. So those are really good things. And that was kind of the Scholastic conversation, is how can they help us better sell stuff. We do know that we were probably one of, I'm not going to say a small percent, but we were not, it's not a big percent that has basically a contract with every distributor, right?
Yeah.
So we're one of the peoples that when we would go to like Scholastic or Kodansha or Viz, when we talk to them, like we work with them through like Simon & Schuster and stuff like that. It's not all like Diamond or Lunar or PRH. So, you know, we kind of gave them a different perspective on what we do. And we got to show a lot of pictures of the store, you know, which.
Yeah, that's always a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, which is always really good because they were always intrigued by like when we were telling them about the layout, like how that was laid out and stuff like that. And a lot of them want pictures to take stuff back to see, you know, what we're doing and maybe where they could help or where they could take ideas. And that's a publisher, right? So.
And we talked to a lot of people who are like, I need to get to Richmond.
Right.
I want to come see your store. And we're like, absolutely. Tell us when you're coming. We'll have dinner. We'll grab lunch. We'll do whatever.
Whatever. Yep.
You know, just I would love to have some publishers or even some other retailers come to Richmond and you know, you have dinner, share some ideas, talk about stuff.
Yep.
That'd be great.
Yep. So yeah, and that's the great thing about it now, right? Like what you're going to see out of this group is, for us, is you're going to start seeing a lot of the retailers travel cities and talk to other retailers that are a part of ComicsPro. And that, you know, we were surrounded by Texas retailers all weekend.
We were.
We couldn't get away from
We
them.
talked to so many people from Texas, and every single store was just like Richmond. Every single store was completely different than the one next to them.
Yep, it's amazing. Jen King is one of the people. She's a part of ComicsPro that does stuff all the time. They do a heavy online. They have the experience, which they do shows and sales. It's like a conglomeration, but she kind of helps head up that. And she's probably the nicest, most wonderful person in the world. I love Jen King.
And we talked to the couple that own Titan Comics.
Yep.
They were wonderful.
Yep.
We had a lot of good conversations with them about just, everything, the industry in general. They've had their store for a really long time. So, there was a lot of war stories sharing over the week.
So, but I think overall it ended up being a very good week for us to be there and have these conversations with people. And for the most part, everyone there is pretty genuine. They all want to help the industry. That's what this is about. It's a ton of people there, right? Like, you're not going to just go to fly to Pittsburgh in February and not love this industry, right? Like I said, it's not just retailers showing up. It's like all the publishers are showing up, all the distributors are showing up, and they're sending multiple people, right? Because they want to hit everybody. So, like, this industry is in really good hands with ComicsPro, with the publishers we got, with the distributors we have. I mean, the distributors, and Penguin talked about it, right? Like, Penguin knows that they've had some issues with their boxes, with their shipping, with damages. And once again, they're working on fixing things like that. They know they've had some system issues. We're just a different industry than a normal book industry, but they're all working toward it. They're getting ideas. People are making systems. We got comic shops making systems and POSs that's trying to help everybody, and they're doing it on their own time, right? It's not, they want to get paid at the end of the day, but they had no idea if they were get paid or not, because they're doing it on their own time and then trying to get paid and making great systems.
We had a bunch of good conversations with people about data and that sort of thing, which has, for those of you not in the industry, data has been a huge issue for the last couple of years. Since distribution split.
Yeah, it's been a long issue long before that. It just wasn't as big as issue when it was all with Diamond.
It wasn't an issue that affected my day-to-day life,
right,
until the last few years.
Yeah, it could recoup quicker than now that we have all these distributors and multiple POSs and multiple subscribers and subscriber tools.
But the conversations that were had over the week, I think were wildly positive, and I foresee some really positive changes in the industry.
Yeah.
In the not too distant future. I heard a lot of really good ideas from a lot of people who, like, not ideas where like maybe one day, but like in the next X number of months, these ideas will be implemented in our software or hardware. And I think that the next 2 years might actually be easier than the last 2 years.
Yes. I hope so.
God, I hope so.
But like I said, it's a good time. It's definitely worth it. And like I said, there's just tons and tons of people there.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, there was a lot of retailers.
Yeah, from all over the world. Not just the U.S.
Not just the U.S. and Canada.
Yeah,
right.
We had the folks from New Zealand that do Comics Hub. They were there. They actually spent the most amount of money at the auction. Phillip from Boom auctions off an ad in Boom Comics for a month. And
it was 2 months.
It was 2 months this time, and he got. So anyway, you're going to see some Comic Hub ads
in Boom,
Boom books. Don't
know
when
when that's going to.
Yeah, not sure, but they paid a lot.
Yeah,
they paid a lot for them.
But that works out great for them.
Yeah, and the charity auction.
It's Bink auction.
Yeah, it was for Bink.
Yeah,
and
the book industry.
Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon, we were told that the auction raised over $30,000 for Bink.
Right.
Which one of the guys we were at a table with said that he was having a lot of trouble with a landlord and really needed to get out of his lease, and Bink helped him not just move, but pay 2 months of rent at the new place to make sure that he could be sustainable.
Right.
Bink does an
They do
enormous amount of good.
Yeah, and they've even now started like giving shops and the employees, Gregory, mental health coverage.
Yeah, they give 8 sessions of online like mental health like therapy.
Yeah, they get you set up.
Yeah.
They don't do it. They get you set up.
They set you
help
up
pay for it.
with a mental health professional to because you know the world right now is crazy. So they're doing everything they can to make sure that bookstores and comic shops
We'll have some flyers in here soon, Greg.
Are sustainable.
Right.
Because you know retail's hard. The state of the world is chaos. So you know this one institution is doing everything they can to make sure that bookstores and comic shops will survive.
Right. So we all overpay for stuff because we all care about people.
Yes.
Which was fine. The auctions are a lot of fun. Except for me,
are.
I get grumpy when it got like near midnight.
So part of the fun is that they have multiple auctioneers and they're all drunk when they get up there to sell you things. So sometimes it goes off the rails and takes forever, and then half the items are on a silent auction the next day.
Yeah. So to kind of wrap this up, because I think we're getting close to wrapping up.
Yeah, we've been going for about 40 minutes, I think.
Yeah, it's fine. But like everything is positive, right? So that's the thing that I really want everyone to know here is that like all these retailers, all these distributors, all these publishers, all these vendors, like I said, it's not just that. It's people like BCW and I mean, it was a ton. I pick on BCW because they have this wonderful box now, but we'll get into that.
Yeah,
later.
there's a new box coming out. I'm ordering some tomorrow. Yeah. Hopefully, we'll have them in a week or so.
You'll see that on a different video.
God,
but anyway,
they're fantastic.
Like you know, everyone comes in it. We all have our different issues. We all have the same issues sometimes, but we get together and we talk it out and we explain our side and they explain their side. Because sometimes just because you don't like something doesn't mean that they're. Once again, no one's intentionally doing anything to try to run anyone out of business, regardless of whatever you may read online.
Yeah.
You know, heaven forbid.
There's a ton of negativity online, and there's one particular website that I won't pitch here because they're awful.
Yeah, because that's negative. We're not doing that.
They just want to say all the negative things, and we want to let you know that everyone that we talk to, and I think we talk to just about everyone.
I feel like I've talked to just about everyone.
Only want the best. They want all of us to succeed because if we succeed, they succeed.
Right.
And what is it? A rising tide raises all ships. Like if we all succeed, then everyone succeeds more. Right. I guess is the gist of it.
And like I said, it's and everyone did listen. Like either everyone in that room is the best actors and actresses in the world.
I don't think so, though, because I've had other conversations with them.
Yeah. And, like, I don't believe any of that for a minute. Like, they all cared. And I'm going to give Lunar credit, right?
Yeah.
So everyone wants to talk about Lunar, who is DC stuff. There's things that didn't necessarily affect them as a distributor, but they cared enough to ask me, right? They cared enough to ask me what my soapbox was and went into it. And they took that in for something to just think about in the future for their publishers because they're starting to do more publishers. So it's not that they just ignore, like they could have ignored it, right? Like they didn't necessarily need to care.
Yeah. Our issue that we were really harping on had nothing to do with distribution. It was all about publishers and
But
really
even
advertising.
But everyone cared, right? And that's really what this weekend's about. And you know, it was great talking to them. But that's where we're at. Everything's still positive. Yeah, I mean, things may be tough right now. Sure, because the state of the world is tough. Let's be fair. We're not
struggling any more than the next guy.
Right. But everyone there is trying to raise everything up. I heard the term legitimate multiple times. As if anyone knows me, I'm one of them. You know, one thing I want for this industry is that we're a legitimate industry and not just looked at some deep, dark cave in a corner somewhere. And everyone was like that, right? Like everyone wants to do that. They want us to run through this retail as retail. And I felt really good coming out of it. I've got lots of letters to write over the next 2 weeks.
Same. Lots of emails to send.
Lots of emails to send, lots of people to call. it's just really starting, right? Like Comics Pro really gets it kicked off, but then you're really 6 months in as you're going through this before you start getting ready before the next Comics Pro. But anyway, so once again, it was all positive. If anyone has any questions about any of this, ask us on one of our live shows or comment on this video, and we'll either get back to you or we'll kind of answer here what we can. I mean, some things we're just not going to be able to answer.
If you don't want to ask in public, richmix@richmondcomics.com.
Yep.
You can send us an email. You can send us a DM on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, wherever.
Right.
We're all over the internet at Richmond Comics.
Yep. So once again, thanks for joining us on everything that we do. Please like the video, subscribe to our channel, and then we're not smashing anything. We don't smash. But if you've made it this far, please like and subscribe, and there will be another video that we will attach to the bottom of this that will be basically me unpacking all of the crap that we got.
We got so much cool stuff from ComicsPro.
And I use the word crap as just stuff.
Yeah,
but it is just so much stuff that we got.
Yeah.
A lot of good books, a lot of promotions. Once again, people make special ComicsPro variants that they just want to help out. So
I got a cool beanie from Boom. It's not as cool as the sweatshirt that Phillip was wearing that he said I couldn't have, but you know, it's still cool.
He should have auctioned that off. Anyway. Sorry. Anyway, so we appreciate it. And once again, yes, if you have any questions or anything like that, please contact us. And like, if you really want to know more, just contact us. Like, come sit down with us. We're more than happy to talk through anything.
If you can't leave your store and you want to talk about ComicsPro, let me know. I'll come to you.
Yep. And I'll come over there too. We will not send Gregory. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Yeah, I mean, we're more than happy to talk. If you're a retailer looking at this or in anything, please just let us know. So once again, thanks a lot, everybody, and we'll be talking to you later.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.